crap. I got's working. Hell yeah. Welcome, everyone. This is going to be episode 0 of the No True Rewards podcast. I'm titling this the Unsubscriber Special. Because boy, are you wasting your time if you are just around me and my presence in general. But welcome. My little podcast is going to be, I don't know how to say it, cringe and shit and bad. I'm going to talk about anime. I'm going to bitch about audio. I'm going to talk about people on YouTube probably because they piss me off. The internet in general pisses me off. Well, that's just who I am as a human being. My main thing is audio engineering, so you're probably going to hear me talk about audio a lot, working with voice actors. I'm also going to have a couple people guests on the show. And that's going to be the main content, is to bring random people on and just kind of get their life story for fun. Maybe talk about all the other cringe shit that we like in our lives. I wanted this episode to be an introductory to who I am as a person, what to expect from me, and the kind of quality you could expect from my content. Bad. Quality's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad and it's gonna suck because it's me. But I can edit an audio really well. Kind of. Oh man. Who am I? Who am I as a human being? I'm not a good person. I'm not a bad person, but I'm not like good either. I'm just kind of like chaotic neutral. You can hear a lot of shitty, edgy humor on here. Some opinions that not everybody's going to agree with, probably. But I'll keep them safe enough to not piss off everyone and get a mob after me. At least I'll try. All right. So, yeah, I'm DevilBirb. I've been an audio engineer for about a decade now. I've worked with many voice actors, actually, which has been kind of fun, kind of annoying. I hate voice actors to my core. I fuck you all, really. All of you. God damn, make me mad. I love them. They've been a main source of income for like 4 or 5 years now. I love all of you. Hire me, please. Okay. Yeah. Oh man, where do I even begin with this? Like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me as a person? I don't even know. I'm just rambling for fun at this point. So, I've been doing content creation for maybe 8 years now. I started off as an aid to an abridge called Ruby Productions, which was a Ruby abridge series. They made a good couple of episodes. There was like 10 maybe episodes of the abridge, 8 or 9. I don't know. I don't remember. It fell short. Ricardo fell on his face due to some issues with staff, issues with people, having issues with other people, crazy shit, crazy fans, whatnot. All the good stuff you find with some competent content creators. The whole point was to we're going to push the boundaries of how we do abridging and do everything in 3D and have it be in VR chat, which the main content was in VR chat, by the way. That's not true. No. Some of it was in VR chat. We did shorts and other skits and episodes in VR chat where we actually did these weird elaborate recordings with all these house-made models. In fact, a lot of the Ruby models you're going to find that are out there, like the 3D models, are made by the people in Ruby, which that's actually pretty cool, right? We had a lot of talented people, a lot of people that have carried over and have been my friends for years and years now. I think my first friend in the group would be Horizon, which I've known him since 2017, probably. He's a bastard and he's British. He's not British, he's Welsh. I'm sorry. I don't want to get the two mixed up. Excuse me. He's going to listen to this later. He's going to be like, why, Devil? Why? Oh my God. Okay, so, all right. I want to bitch about voice actors for a bit because that's kind of what I do. Stop having plosives, please. If you're recording from home, learn to set your microphone up. Put it in a spot in front of your face. The microphone can hear you, properly pointing at you, by the way. And stop puffing into it, which I probably just did there. Not a good example, but whatever. I enjoy working with voice actors a lot. It's kind of my niche. I don't really do anything that's a visual medium. I do a lot of things like audiobooks. I haven't really done podcast work in a really long time, but I used to. I like audio dramas. I have an award-winning audio drama that I just worked on, which that's pretty cool, right? I have something under my belt. I've worked with Anagomi, which I'm no longer working with them. And I have hundreds of audios under my belt with what must be at least like 40 different voice actors, quote unquote, voice actors. You know, as much of a voice actor as somebody off of Twitter can be half the time. Very talented people. Yeah. It's so weird. Like, because like when it comes to voice acting, I started my career off as an audio editor doing not safe for work content with someone, which would be you probably know her as I think she goes by KB on Twitter or something like that. I don't want to say the full name. I don't know if she allows people to say the full name, but she goes by KB. She's been a longtime friend of mine. She's an off safe for work voice actress. And I've been friends with her since she even became a not safe for work voice actress. And we kind of hit our own careers off together. So it's interesting going from like editing slaps and moan sounds and whatnot to doing action scenes and audio drama based content that's based around anime characters loving on the listener. It's weird. It's a really weird life. I kind of have to like live with that in secret in my heart. Nobody else but my personal friends online know that. I live with family still. I have to due to some personal issues I got going on and need some assistance. And the rest of the house doesn't know what I do. I'm a little degenerate. Whatever. Uh God. So you're gonna find that I ramble a lot. I just ramble and go. My brain works like a mile a minute. I have ADD. It's just awesome. I can't watch tutorials. I can't do anything actually productive in my life because my phone's right there, you know. My phone and Twitter is right there. I it's not healthy, but whatever. Back to voice acting, right? There's so many people out there that I want to help that I see it's like, "Oh, you sound cool. Your acting's okay, and I want to edit your shit. Let me at least fix the sound part of what you have going on." Right? A lot of people let me do that. That's awesome. But it's really difficult. I don't have a formal education in any of this. All of my audio engineering skills come from years and years of self-practice and teachings. I started when I was, I don't know, when I was like 15. I started playing guitar when I was around 12. And after that, I really wanted to get into the idea of recording. I had always heard that recording was a way to get better. You record yourself playing and you figure out, okay, what are you doing wrong? And I really got into the habit of learning to perfect that art. I had a shitty little Behringer mixer. I think my first ever microphone was like some kind of budget one I bought used off of Guitar Center for like $30. All those recordings sound like ass, but there they are. They're my legacy, all right. And from there, it's like I think I mainly did music for I don't know 10 years, something like that, and slowly started getting into doing audio post production. And that was mainly a lot to Kruby. At the time, I was very competitive with somebody, and my wantonness to do audio post was basically to show someone up. I hated them at the time, honestly. We're actually like good friends now, and we have like a good mutual understanding of what, like who we are and what we do. But I wanted to be better. I wanted to prove that I could be somebody's like of worth or value with my own hand. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to bother doing like proper formal education crap. For one, I was poor as shit. But I like the idea of learning myself. I love educating myself. I love reading books. I got my hands on every little thing that I could. And just I got to meet a lot of cool people. Again, back to the voice actor part where there's so many little niches out there with like the internet now that you have to, if you want to do content creation, your tool set has to be vast. I cannot apply one single thing to like everybody. Like a lot of post houses have the ability to just, they have essentially the same workflow for everything they get. They're not going to use the same tools, not going to use the same methods every single time, but they have the ability to just bring up the same template and just go. And content creation, especially for voice actors, because the vast like the huge variety of people that are out there, the huge variety of different rooms, different microphones, different voices, different skill levels, mic techniques. It's everyone needs their own personal, like, oh my God, personal special touch. Yeah, special touch. It's, I don't know how to say it. It's a specialty that revolves around being flexible. The knowledge that I would have to take from one person to another isn't necessarily like, oh, I can just do this and this. It's more problem solving than it is actually improving, if that makes any sense. So many people have these like huge noise floors. Like I actually have a big noise floor right now because I'm too lazy to turn my fan off across the room, and I'll edit that out in post. I have the tools for it. And it's noise floors are so different from person to person, especially with all their different equipment. And you have to learn how to tackle all of those different problems one by one. Yeah, you have to do that in big post houses too, if you're especially if you're shooting like on set somewhere or on location. You have to deal with city sounds, whatnot. But and some of those are crazy difficult, but a lot of those you have an M&E to work with. And voiceover for content creation, especially like YouTube's, a lot of the time you don't get an M&E, which for those who don't know is music and effects, which would be like the bed of like pre-laid sound effects, pre-laid music, or at least pre-dubs in general, where a lot of things will be set for you and you can kind of get everything in together and make them a little more homogenous. And if you already have music set, you have background set, you have your sound effects set, there's probably going to be noise in your dialogue, but you can actually like, you don't have to nuke the shit out of that noise. You can just kind of adjust the noise until it's under the backgrounds and the music, because like less is more when it comes to audio. But with what I do, I don't necessarily get that ability. I have to be able to nuke the shit out of something while keeping the like intelligibility there for dialogue for a lot of content creators. And it's difficult, honestly. There's so many techniques, like so many tools that I have to understand right away, like what's going to fix what and how's it going to fix it and how's it going to sound? What's going to give me my end result? Oh man, so many denoise. I have so many denoisers and I don't have enough. Legitimately do not. I have denoisers for different levels of different things and things that I know that target other things like way better than others. Like I have like one called Waves Clarity. That is my last ditch effort denoiser. Everything you like you put it on makes it sound like shit, but boy noise will it gets rid of the noise. It's gone. I'd rather not use it, but sometimes you just got to do it. A lot of people in Anagami had this issue where where that's mainly the voice actors I worked with in the past like 4 or 5 years now. They're, let's say, untreated rooms, lots of noise, bad mic technique, and other little things that would creep into the microphones, which I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not trying to shit on anybody because that's just a part of learning. When you're working on YouTube stuff, you're more on the lower echelon of what it like, what it comes to, I don't know if the word, I think the proper word is talent. I'm trying to think of talent. I'm trying to think of something else. More like skills. Yeah, skills. There you go. That's what I'm trying to think of. That sounds nice. See? That's not so asshole sounding, right? Anyway, part of that is just it's just getting to know people. I I recognize so many things with people. I recognize the way they speak, how they speak, the rhythms in which they speak at, the tones in which they speak at, the emotion that they can evoke when they're trying to project themselves. It's it's very intimate when working with people's voices. You hear them again and again and again, and you break down their voices into frequencies, break them into harmonics. I understand, like, there are people where I've worked with them enough that I don't even need to look at, or I don't even need to hear the audio. I can just look at the waveform, and I've worked with them enough to know that was this person. We had somebody who would do a Rengoku voice, and his voice is incredibly dynamic, and it had a lot of, how to say, I'm trying to think of what this term would be for people who don't know audio, because the term would be transients. We'll call them the spiky peaks in the audio, the little spiky parts at the top. And there was a massive flux of those because their voice would be, they would project and then they would calm down and project again. It was just how they would say certain syllables or words, or just how they brought energy out from their chest. And you can tell who that was right away. Same thing with other friends of mine. Like, I can tell KB's voice just by the god awful levels that she records at. Record higher, you shit. Turn your gain up, please. God damn you. Please. Anyways, there's a lot of very specific harmonics in her voice that I can recognize right away by looking at through a graph. Now, if you were to probably test me on this, I would fall apart and cry because, that's one of those things. I don't do well with testings. I just die. I die. I die and I shit myself and die. It's neat. You get to hear a side of people that not the average person would really perceive, or at least not in the forefront of their mind, because audio is one of those things we recognize right away. It's so familiar to us and such a big part of our evolution, right? So if somebody calls out to you, like you know right away, or if you like there are little sounds that'll flicker in your head at night, like at nighttime, you're like, oh shit, something's out there. It scares you. It invokes something within you. And hearing some people's voices and hearing them so up close and how they just are as a human being, it's fascinating. It's so neat and personal. I like it. It's cringe. What I just said is cringe, but I like it. It's cool. I wouldn't do it to myself because God, listening to my own voice is terrible. I'm not a voice actor, so I don't jerk myself off to the sound of my own voice like a lot of them do. Because oh man, I'm about to go into that. So many people that do voice acting are they're so into themselves. It's awesome. It's like watching like those cringe public freak out videos, or God, I don't know how to I don't know. I'm too stupid for this to describe that, but like they'll join a VC in Discord and they'll just speak and they'll purposefully lean into their microphone to get the proximity effect going, which is like if I lean in like this, you'll see it get a little more bassy. And it's purposefully to rile people up, for people to go, oh my God, you have such a good voice. You sound so nice. Are you a voice actor? Oh, it's so good. Every time that happens, it's like, oh, you cringe. I've been in voice actor. Oh my God. No. That's not the statement. That's not the statement. I've been in VCs with voice actors that, yeah, they'll just join. And like the pretty person privilege, when you're like anonymous online and you don't really have a face, your ugly ass face to put to your voice, and you have a nice sounding voice, you can get away with a lot of shit. Fans will just eat that shit up, especially if you're like a dude. I've seen grills just melt at them speaking, and regardless of what they say, no matter how creepy it actually sounds. Like some people have joined and they'll be like, oh yeah, you like that, huh? Or have just be like these gross things that if a normal dude said that to a girl, it'd probably be like get slapped in the face, classic anime style. The kya, whatever. It's kind of the same thing the other way around, where it's like woman voices and dudes, except I don't know, say guys have a bigger tendency to be more creepy around the woman VAs. I haven't known a single woman VA that I know I keep saying woman. Excuse me, I have brain rot. That their male VAs will just hop. Oh my God, their male fans, excuse me, will just hop into the chat and be. When a bunch of dudes are in a room and there's like a single lady around, and all of a sudden it just becomes like a pissing contest. It's like that every time. One of my friends, well, I guess I don't know if we're still friends. We're like previous friends working out. I don't know. Whatever. She had one of those very like deep, I guess you could call like seductive-esque voices, where she didn't try really to sound like that. That was just how she spoke. And people would hop in VC and just assume she's flirting with them because that's just how she speaks. Or she'll say something and just be nice. The general thing of like, just be nice to a guy and he like falls for you. It's like that. Like her voice combined with just being a generally nice person or a good person would bring the creeps out every single time. And we got so many of those. Ugh. People, man. Ugh. One second. I'm not cutting any of this out. We're going to leave all this in. This first episode is going to be trash. Remember, this is the unsubscriber special. So, yeah, do that part. Yeah. Oh, I know I bitched about VAs for a while because that's been my life. So many are cool. Oh my god. By the way, if there are any VAs out there who would like to collab or work with me, I'd like to have you hit me up. If you need an editor, if you need somebody to give you advice on voice acting, recording from home, any of the basics like that, like treatment or whatever, I'd actually really like to help you. I enjoy helping people. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like feeling useful. I enjoy when people hit me up and say, "Hey, DevilBirb, I have an issue with my recording space. Could you give me advice on what kind of treatment I can make or do or use, or what kind of microphone I could use or how to set it up?" I really, really like helping people when it comes to audio. Not just because it's the only thing I can do in my life, but because I like the idea of people improving upon themselves. It makes me feel really, really happy when content creators take the time to actually improve their content in a way that's beneficial to everybody. I feel as a content creator that you should strive to provide the best quality product that you can within reason, which would be like in reason of your time, in reason of your money, and in reason of the expectations of your audience. Don't expect that from me though. I'm a hypocrite. Oh, what an amazing first episode. Well, it's just no, it's the first episode if I'm calling it episode 0. I have no idea. Oh man. Yeah, that's a lot of what I do. It's just audio engineering crap. It's trash. Nobody gives a shit about audio. And actually, when it comes to content creation, audio is like the last. Actually, when it comes to production in general, audio is always pushed to the back. The things that people care about the most are the person, the host, or the actor, or I don't know. Would you call? Yeah, I guess VTubers went out could fall under that, right? The person, how entertaining they are, the content they're creating, and then the audio becomes last. We've grown so accustomed to how shit audio sounds on the internet that we've just accepted it. And it's become a part of like what we expect to hear. Or when you hear like a shit microphone, you hear wind blowing in it and it sounds like ass, it's hollow or muddy. There's a bunch of people in the background because they didn't denoise it right. It's something that we wouldn't have found acceptable before, but it's become such commonplace because people aren't really expected to be audio engineers when it comes to making their own content, that it's just part of our universe now. We have such a weird expectation when it comes to television, which a lot of work is in fact put in to make sure that things remain consistent, remain like clear and audible. Not always, because God, modern mixes now, even in cinema, are bad. I'm not saying I would do a better job. I'm just saying that I would like to hear the dialogue every now and then, or not flick my remote every 5 seconds because you decided you want to freaking mix your shit at like Netflix spec and have crazy like mass dynamics. I hate you. Stop mixing your dialogue to minus 30 lofts, you piece of shit. Stop it. Stop. I don't even know what I was talking about, to be honest. Right. Consecration. And the people who make it. Not me. I don't make content creation. I make slop. It's me. It's DevilBirb. Slop burb. Yeah. We've grown expectant for things to be a specific way when it comes to content creation. And again, like I said, audio is pushed way to the back. Audio also has the biggest issue with I don't want to say it has the biggest issue. I don't know enough about video editing or photo editing to make that claim properly because who knows? Like maybe those things maybe they're way, way harder than what my part of the production is. Like I'm not going to pretend I know how to color correct, right? But there's so much shit information out there from people who have no idea what they're doing. The only reason they can spout this information is they've had an audience for long enough and have assumed that what they're doing is right, or the information that they saw is right, or how they sound is fine because nobody pokes it out. Nobody picks it out. or like points at it because it's just what we're used to. And I'm not trying to rip on people and say, oh, yeah, their thing sounds like shit, which most of the time they do. I'm going to be honest, a lot of audio on YouTube sounds like absolute ass. And that's really no one's fault. Audio engineering is one of those things where it's like a very well kept secret amongst the industry. Finding information on post in general is almost impossible. Even for someone like me who deep dives into it, who's had conversations with people in the industry, who's had job offers from the industry, who's actually done some kind of commercial work before, I don't even know like half the secrets yet. I've been doing this for like a decade and I still don't feel like I've cracked the surface properly of what is the right information, what isn't. All I know is how to properly make the end product. I know some actually a good bit of like how the industry works and how their workflows are like, but there are as many workflows as there are people in general. So there's nothing solid. And all those workflows are secretive and licensed. So nobody can actually look at them legally. I I want to help people out. I think it's our duty as content creators to provide something special for the people we're trying to entertain, the people that give us their time, the people that often actually give us money, like pay for our livelihood. I've been out of the factory, like I spent 7 years of my life inside of a factory, and was finally able to quit the job. Well, I didn't. Yeah, I quit actually. We're not gonna go down that rabbit hole yet. We'll save that for another episode for funsies. I was able to quit and start doing audio engineering from home for a good long period of time, and it actually paid for a lot of my bills. I paid my car off with it. I've bought my own groceries, lived with my family, fed my family with it. Which, when I say family, I don't mean like wife and kids. I'm too much of a piece of shit loser to have that. I got my Makuras and my little anime figures and my plushies for that. Those are my wives. 2 girls only, honestly. But yeah, I have other blood related family that I've have to live with that I've been able to take care of them. I appreciate you guys, honestly. You listen here. God, I'm 27 minutes in. I've rambled about absolutely nothing. This is a amazing episode. Incredible use of your time. Wondrous. Okay, I'm gonna bitch about something for fun here while I'm on the topic of audio. Okay. So I watch a lot of tutorials. Even though my ADD makes watching tutorials miserable for me, I still do it. And I have to watch a tutorial like 10 times in a row just to get little snippets of it because I keep getting distracted from parts. And that's just pretty much how I learn things is I do it in small strips of time instead of like one big chunk like a normal human being. Hold on. I need water. Give me a sec to get some water, friends. I promise I'll cut that out in the audio later. I probably won't, but I promise. I I watch a lot of audio tutorials to see and how other people handle things and take their perspective on it. And I'm very, very picky about when it comes to tutorials. I like things to be done in a very specific way. I like to be fast. I like it to explain what they're doing and why they are doing it. So many tutorials are like, oh, you just do this and this and this, and that's how you do it. Instead, I want to know why did you do that? What part of your process like brought you to here? Or what is a part of the process? Like, what does it mean? Like lately, I've been doing art tutorials on how to draw. I'm trying to learn how to draw. And people will be like, yeah, just draw this and this and this and then shade it in. But it's like, why did you shade it in? Why did you shade it in the way you did? Why did you use the tools that you did? Can you give me an explanation further as to like how you got this end goal or what it means to get this end goal? It's like learning a new language, and instead of learning how the language is formed, learning proper grammar in the language, it's just like, yep, this is what that word means. That's how it works. Which is honestly probably how you learn a lot of language, but like learning to properly speak the language in a way that a native speaker might actually understand and not make fun of you for. But anyways, I get really pissed off at bad tutorials. They annoy the shit out of me, especially audio ones. Because there's so many audio tutorials out there that are just all garbage advice for people. One yesterday that I had watched was, I'm not going to call the person out because that's mean. I know they're trying their best and they're trying to be helpful for ad revenue. They're like, okay, what's the point of having audio? And what's like the point of editing? Editing isn't to sound good, it's to sound natural. That's what you're supposed to have while streaming. And other like, there's a bunch of other people who gave like a bunch of weird advice. And that sort of mindset I feel is very destructive when it comes to editing in general. And also towards content creators, because it's like there are as many end goal sounds as there are people who are doing the process themselves. Yes, there are certain ways I would treat things for like a podcast. The way I would edit audio for a podcast is not the way I would edit audio for an audio drama. Or maybe the way I would edit audio for an audiobook would not like match those other things because audiobooks are extremely compressed. And I like things to be a little more dynamic than that, maybe not so in your face, or the way I would edit animation. Animation, I would take in a more mid-range focus or natural, depending on what the production like calls for. It isn't like every time is going to be the same thing of, oh, it's just got to sound natural. No, it's got to fit the production. It's got to fit the sound you want. It's got to fit the mix. It's not always such this like cookie cutter thing of it's just a one and done process. You just put on a bunch of templates or presets and it's over. It's what does the person want? Like if somebody were to hire me and they say, hey, I want it to sound like this. And I would go, no, it's supposed to sound natural. It's not supposed to sound like that. Right? Well, that's not what the production calls for. What the client wants is what the client wants. And it's our job to make sure we fulfill that need as editors. So it's just like get these tutorials where and art had this issue too, where so many people will be like, well, I do it, and this is the way I learned it in school, and this is how it's supposed to be done. That's what my teacher said. Or other art tutorials where they'll draw it a certain way and they'll go, this is the way to correct your art. This is the way to draw things properly, or this is the way to save your art. Everything else isn't like as good as this. It's really annoying. I hate that there's a lot of people out there who just because they have the skill or the talent to do something, think they have the ability to teach someone. And those are not like the same thing. Those are not, they don't always go hand in hand. Excuse me, I had to take another drink. Like someone who speaks language. Just because you can speak a language doesn't mean you can actually teach it to somebody else who's foreign and has like no concept of how to speak. Like I have a friend from Finland and then just be like, hey, teach me how to speak Finnish. That's not going to work. Her brain isn't wired in a way to teach somebody like an entire language. It's wired in a way to be able to just communicate through it. It's like me with English. I could not begin to teach somebody else from a non-native English speaking country how to speak it. It's not good. Oh, God. People on YouTube piss me off with tutorials so goddamn much sometimes. Holy shit. There's people who have been around for decades on YouTube. I don't want to say decades, it's probably not that long, but for years and years on YouTube, it's like 10 years. I know there's one, and I want to call him out either. And he's actually somebody I learned from when I was first starting out. And at the time, his tutorials and his methods seemed like the way to go. Because I thought, oh, he gets work. People hire him to actually work on films and to do stuff. He must be doing something right. And all I learned from his videos were how to do things wrong, actually. There's so many steps that he took that I would never, ever do again today. They were destructive. They didn't actually take into account like critical listening where I have to stop and listen to, okay, what's going on here? Are there any issues that poke out? Is there not enough of something? Are there things where I need to bring something up or bring something down? What's the style I'm going for? Like, because the EQ I would like the way the way I would EQ a podcast, right? I might make it a little more bassy, bring it a little more to the forefront, make it more in your face. Because you want that big, powerful sound when you're doing podcasts. Not always, but a lot of people really like that sound, is what we come to know. Like the Shure SM7B sound, where it's very powerful. It's very chest feeling. It rumbles your head. It's very compressed. And for other things where it's like, okay, yeah, that works for that. Those are very specific EQ moves. Those are very specific issues that need to be fixed within its own context. That's how you mix. But when it comes to other like productions where like he was implying these things where it's like, okay, yeah, you just apply high pass filter here and do it up to this. Take the Q band, right? The bell curve band, and make it a very narrow Q, and you're gonna sweep around until you find a bunch of things, and you're gonna like take them out or notch them until they're gone. Where the idea of that is actually useful. That's something you can do as an editor. But how it's executed is not the proper way. When you're doing editing stuff, you don't go and try to create problems. Because when you boost something like by 20 dB, all you're doing is making it sound like shit. And then you're like, oh, it sounds bad, so I need to get rid of it. Well, maybe you just got rid of something that didn't need to be touched, something that was there that aided the voice instead of like reducing it. Uh, don't do that. Don't just sweep and notch. What you have to do first is hear there's a problem first. And then when you're done and you're like, okay, that sticks out, that doesn't work in the mix, or it clashes with something, now I can sweep and try to find where that issue is and notch it out. That's how I would normally do it. That's the proper way to do it, I would say. I know I just bitched about, oh, it's, people have their own thing, but no, there are some things, there are things you can do that are more destructive than helpful, and that's kind of one of those things. Again, I remember I said I'm a hypocrite, whatever. Whatever. I'm also dumb and probably not explaining this correctly. Same thing with compression. Like he would teach compression in a very odd way, where he would mix with his eyes. And when you're editing audio, the whole point is to use your ears. He would like take a compressor, line it up on a specific spot in the waveform editor, and be like, "This is where I want the waveforms to sit." And that is not how you do compression. Compression is such a vast tool. It's almost like I don't want to say it's like color correction. I don't know what a good equivalent to other medias would be if it's like knowing color theory or something. But it's like it's a tool meant to do very specific thing, and you have a huge array of what you could like the sound you could get out of it for very different intentions. And there's just people will take these bits of info and feed them to the public, and it's just you create an entire generation of editors or people trying to learn this stuff, and it just created problems. Like me, I spent it must have been like 4 or 5 years unlearning all of these bad habits that I picked up from a bunch of people on YouTube. It sucks. Okay, I rambled way too much about that. I mean, I could always ramble on about anime or something, but God, I don't want to lose that many of you in one go. I know this is the unsubscriber special, but geez. That'd be a lot. I'm gonna save that to bitch about with friends later on. I have a very high tolerance for trash. I watch a shit ton of anime, and including most of the trash that airs. Like something like Eminence and Shadow. I'm gonna shit talk Eminence and Shadow so hard on one of these episodes. The stuff that other people would find cringe and terrible, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I love it. Not necessarily like shonen things. I don't care for shonen stuff that much, but shonen is so like middle of the road, predictable in its own specific way, and that every time it happens, it doesn't entertain me. The way it, like was a Skeleton Knight from Another World or whatever it's called, where it's like mid but good. I love that. I live for it. Or like Farming Life in Another World, amazing, incredible shows. Okay. This is a terrible first episode. I wasn't entertaining or funny in any way. Don't expect me to be funny. My personality like really relies on bouncing off of another person. So once I get somebody else on here to bitch at and ask them questions and trying to go over specific topics that we'd like to discuss, it'll be better. But anyways, yeah, I'm probably going to end it here then. I want to thank everybody for joining me today with this. It's really cool to have another podcast up. I'm hoping to get, like I said, guests on here. I want to talk to a lot of people. I want to make new friends. I want to just expand my reach. I've been so closed off for so long and haven't really reached out to anybody. And I'm hoping that this will be an opportunity for a lot of us to connect. I want to talk to VTubers. I want to talk to voice actors, animators, artists, anybody who like wants to chill and hang out. I would love to get in touch with you. This will be the part of the show where I'm never ever going to shill myself throughout like the show itself, unless it's a joke, because I often do that as a joke. But if you do want to support stuff, whatever, there's going to be stuff in the description of the video. And I know this is going to go on Spotify and maybe Apple Podcasts, maybe, where I'll put a bunch of like the Discord link, the YouTube, all the other crap, right? But if you want to support, there's going to be like a coffee if you want to help me out with that. I'm poor as shit. So if you want to think like I'm going to buy this guy a McDonald's cheeseburger while I'm here eating my steak, eat peasant, eat peasant feast, something like that, right? Like little pity money. God, I just called it pity money. I'm such a piece of shit. Holy crap. That's a joke, by the way. That's a joke. Don't do it. Yeah, there's gonna be a couple things on there to, if you just want to hang out or support, feel free. But again, thank you so much for joining me on episode 0 of No True Rewards podcast. By the way, if you really think about it, it says NTR. I love it. It's a DevilBirb joke. It's a DevilBirb inside joke. Also, it's hentai. It's a cool tag, by the way. Fuck you, Vanellis.